Well, hello everybody, and welcome into the Just Jump In live stream. Let me know if you can hear me. As I get things set up here. Looks like we have a couple people already in saying hello. Welcome in, Bill. You get the virtual cookie. And Jimmy is in here as well. Thank you. All right, so let's get started if this thing is working all good. Hi, Mom. Welcome in. All right. Hey, Jimmy, per our conversation, I did check it again. So when I set this one up, I checked the comments, and it was in fact defaulted to off for some reason. And so I got them on again. So the recording should have the comments afterwards now. At least that's what we hope for. Hit Gopher Girl, welcome in. Well, that's good. Everybody can hear me. So, okay. So let's get started. Let's just jump in. So it's become a thing. So the health update, more steps. We're going into week 5, or we're in week 5. I still haven't been able to lay down for a long period of time. This weekend, I'm going to try and take some meds at the right time and see if I can fall asleep before the pain starts and see if I can lay on a bed for once. It's been a lot of weeks. So that's what's up next. Still, if I bend the wrong way, it still hurts a bit. And if it's agitated enough, it'll hurt throughout the day unless I take some pills to reduce the hurt. So, an interesting thing happened on the way to the forum, as they say in the old days. I posted on Facebook a picture of my airbrush and what I did to it. Oh, I took the needle out already, so that doesn't help. But it was in the thumbnail. Anyway, so I posted in a number of groups. And I got a lot of advice. Some of it, common sense tells me watch out for that. May not be the best thing. Maybe somebody did something that they were more confident with or had more experience with. And so a couple of them were. I got 2 different occasions. I got basically roll the needle between 2 coins to straighten it out, or get it back mostly straight. And most of them also said use a flat surface like a piece of glass to finish rolling it out. But my favorite one so far has been to heat up the needle and to heat up the needle red hot so it's really soft and pull it through the airbrush out so it straightens out when it goes through, and then again, roll it on a surface to get it a solid surface to get it straightened out. I like my airbrush. I don't want to do anything to the insides of the airbrush, so I won't be doing that. But that was an interesting one. And I can see, at least on can see that we're having issues again. So let's see if we move this one down. This one's probably gonna have to. Oh, that wasn't good. I'm gonna have to reset this one now. Shoot. I didn't say the bad words. Let's see. This one's kind of wanted to. All right. Let's see. Yeah. So I'm going to have to see if I can mess with the webcam here. Interesting. All right, so let's take out, if I can. All right, so the virtual webcam seems to be working for the moment. So on the side, I'll work on this one. I want to see if I can get this one to. Got to get rid of the background here, and of course, default color space. Everything's default there. All right. So let's move this one back for now, as the other one seems to be working again. So I was in the middle of using gloss varnish with the anticipation that at least someday I will be getting some decals for this. So I use Vallejo gloss varnish. And so I got the sides, the bottom, the ends done, and I was starting on the top. But I was going off to do something else, so I went to clean the airbrush, and that's when the airbrush incident happened. So I can spray this weekend with, I have spray gloss varnish. So I have this stuff, and so I will finish doing that, and then I'm going to end up putting this aside until I can get the wow, that's pretty small for I got the chat, it looks like working, but that you all can see it on the screen too. You can see it on your devices as well, but that sure looks pretty small. So we'll have to certainly play with that one as well. Ooh, yeah, that's kind of big now. There is a way to... Sorry guys that I'm doing this during the stream. Kind of rude on my part. But boy, I'm just messing with everything now, aren't I? All right. So we'll leave that alone for now. That was a feature that I wanted to add so I could see it on screen. I actually have it docked and I can see it, but then I can't sign into the chat here, so I have to go back and forth to YouTube. But we'll stop messing with that for now. The airbrush incident. Yep, this is the airbrush incident. It was me just being myself and walking into walls and things and door jams like I do all the time. So, yeah, when I watch streams on TV, I'll pull up my phone and I'll chat on my phone, and I'll chat on my phone and watch it on TV. And I like having the screen space. So, anyway, so once we get to decals, that'll be it. And I think this one will be done. So then what I've turned my attention to with November coming quick is the 2 projects I have for my mom. So we have the doing a new scene for the 4x8 dollhouse size table, train table. And I also wanted to start designing more of the stuff that goes on there instead of relying on other designers. So I did the old do a track plan sort of thing, and this is just the outline of the track that I did. And I did print somebody else's church, and then I did these Monopoly houses prior, but I wanted to design them myself, and I wanted them a little smaller. So let's see if I can see if you can see that there, since it's, I don't know if you can with my background. So, but I designed a whole bunch of them. Let's go frustrate the you-know-what out of me. Let's see here. What I have to do is I have to turn off the background, and I think I'm using a different source for the background. Again, I really don't want to spend that much time on this. But, okay. So now we're back for a minute. So I'm going to try and get that up close. So that's all it is. It's hollow in there, and just a roof, 4 sides, and a chimney. And so I printed a bunch of those. And then for this one, since the train that I'm using, I don't know if I have those here. I don't. I have to print them again. But it's a little steam train, and it's got passenger coaches on it. So for this one, I didn't do that last time. I wanted to build a station, and I wanted to go back, and I had a water tower on the other one, but I wanted to build a water tower. So I mocked up a station, and it was a lot bigger than this. And so I kind of went down, down. So this was the probably version 3 or 4. I think those windows look like jail cells, but I was trying to get large bay windows, and then there is a little door there. And then I wanted a roof on it, so I got the size where I wanted it and added the roof piece to it. So you have that. I was thinking of doing a canopy for this piece, but did this kind of in the traditional style, and it'll go somewhere over here the way I wrote it out. Have a road not quite across this time. Still want to do a water feature. I want to add another structure there, and I was thinking of trying to tunnel again. It didn't work last time, but let's see here. So the next thing I went to try, it's almost like I got to go really slow with this camera, is I wanted to do a water tower. So I went and looked for pictures of water towers and used my design skills. And this is what I came up with, but obviously way too big. I did produce a roof for this, but I didn't print it at this size. Basically, the parts are the cylindrical part, the legs, the supports around there, and the spout. And so I wanted it to go over there. So it became very, very brittle being so small. I kept thickening the legs and everything. But the water tower will go somewhere like over there. That's what it looks like small. And then I do have a roof piece to go on there. That'll just glue on top, and that will fit in. Oh, here. So here's the train. Here's a look at the water tower together. If I can't get rid of that background, I can't use the webcam, which I would rather do for this. This is the church that I printed. I don't know if you can see that on this camera here. That I think will go there. Kind of be the center of things in this town. This is not the final version. I wanted to put a the crossbucks with railroad crossing on them, but we were getting too small. So I printed a smaller version of this as well. But I created this crossing sign, and it's 3D printed. It's 3D printing, so it has to have a little relief to it, because these signs usually are flat and they're painted with black crossing on yellow. See if I get the camera back again. I'm gonna have to rage about this soon. But here we go. As slow as it is, they are tiny, because we're talking, this is a 4x8 table. And so it's 4 inches by 8 inches. So it has to look somewhat, I think this certainly looks a little big, but it has to look, I think it would end up being way too small. I don't think I have this. Oh, there, it's back again. Here is the really small one. That's probably, if we're going more realistic, that would be somewhere here, probably, on here. I could do both sides. But a little bit more detail to the scene is what I'm looking for. So I created that one. And then I wanted to do trees. So I haven't attempted to do trees on my own. That's not what I'm willing to do. But I did find somebody who did small enough trees. And what I'm going to do, and I'll share pictures online, what I'm going to do is paint the trunk, and then I'm going to dip these in glue and add foliage to them. And so they're basically they're print flat. Let's see if we can put them down there, and then see if we can scroll in. So, and then they just cross into each other. There's a slot on the top of this one and on the bottom of this. And they simply cross in like this to give you the roundness to it. And there are different sizes here as well that they produced. So certainly work. Here's another one. So there's about 3 different sizes, and so we'll do some foliage on them and see if that works. Now, the person who designed it showed it with them doing the foliage and painting the trunk and everything. So we'll definitely try that. Yep, I'm gonna do that. That's kind of sad, Mom, that it's going to become one of the main features. We definitely want to use this to get people over there, but we want to feature some of the real artwork, the more expensive stuff, for sure. Hey, Bob, welcome in. Appreciate you stopping in. I thought Rick was going to have a show today. I didn't see the show. It didn't pop up for me, so hopefully I didn't miss it. So I haven't come up with another structure yet, and I haven't tackled the water feature. Again, I want to get a tiny bit of sculpting mold around there to create the water. And so I'm going to practice a little bit with it to see what I can come up with. But this week I have been definitely focusing on these items here. So, so these are added by other artists. These are my creations. And so we'll see how that goes. So I was figuring, even if it was just one tree, maybe trees that can go on the edge here. Now, for traveling this, if I'm not able to protect it, or if I'm shipping it, I'm not really going to be able to protect it. I'm going to have, I'm probably going to have to drill or get sculpting mold down just to have a base for these trees. So we'll see how all that works out. Then likely for the underbed version, I'll probably include another one of these water towers, tree or two maybe. For that, there's not as much real estate, so it just has to have, maybe a railroad crossing sign as well, to just highlight that and just kind of be features on that. And so I'll have to also print out 2 sets of trains, at least one for the table and one for the underbed thing. I dabbled in the thought of building but it would just add another project I wouldn't have time for. But I dabbled in the thought of building kind of a dresser where these, like the train and this and the tree can be, and the sign can be next to the bed, basically, so that you could pull the stuff out and put it on and then put it away so you can put the thing under the bed. But so thank you. I don't know if it's a tremendous improvement that you can see my face, but I appreciate that. So, oh, okay. Got it. Thanks, Bill. Yeah, I remember him saying that, and that he might be on again, off again with that. Thank you. I will zoom out again. It's choppy again, so. I've got to figure something out. So the way the iPad is set up, it's not set up to be a live camera per se. So you can't plug it in and just go like a webcam. So you have to use a virtual camera. I've tried that a number of times, even, with plugging directly into the computer, and it wouldn't work. So, this is the Amcrest webcam. I don't have any controls for it, so I couldn't zoom in or anything, but I got to figure out how to get the backdrop, the filter off the back, or the green screen type of thing off the back here again, in order for me to then use that. And so maybe, one of these days I can save up for another cheap camera. I was looking at the ones that here that DB Tech suggested to Dwight, and there are a line of them, so I'm considering that, but that's going to be a substantial savings that I'm going to have or raise some money somehow to do that. And yes, please hit the like button and do all those things. And if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. I know my core people are subscribers. So I would appreciate that. I do, with their changes and everything, I'm not going to make it as, really getting monetized through them. There are things that are good about it. Like if you could, because they'll open up a shelf where you can display merchandise and things like that, where I have to give out links and do all that and have them in the chat, and it's not as easy. So it makes things a little bit easier, but with them raising that up by February, I'm not going to be able to reach the watch hours. I haven't been able to reach the watch hours in years. I do have to get back to doing videos. I have videos in the hopper, basically, that need some editing. But I haven't even done those. And this is the busy time of year for me, for my job. And then I'm jumping in and doing the live streams. And the live streams I enjoy a lot. I don't do as much work when I'm doing the live streams. That would be nice to be able to do that. But I struggle enough just with the cameras and crap. So I'm at 875 as far as subscribers. So I'm close on the 1,000. So I reached the 500. So there are some things that I could have been available had I gotten to 3,000 hours of watch time within a rolling year, and I'm at like 1,200 hours or a minute, 1,200 hours, whatever it is. Then the higher level is 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours, and I'm not going to get there in that time. And I've been at this in some form since the pandemic started, and it did raise pretty well, and then it kind of leveled off, and then I started doing live streams 2 years ago, and it jumped up. It nearly doubled. And it continues to grow. And what I am seeing that some of my videos are getting traction. The Sculpt the Mold video that I did is getting a lot of traction. That's one of the highest viewed videos now, outside of my intro video that everybody seems to watch, or gets suggested to everybody. So anyway, you can still support the channel that way. I put a couple links in the description. I do have 2 stores. I have used to be called Teespring. Now it's the Spring store, and I have another one. I like the Spring store a little better. There are even better stores out there that you could sign up for, and you basically upload your logos, and then you can attach them to a bunch of merchandise and see if people will buy. It's can get expensive, some of that stuff, though. And I did have one buyer that wasn't me, and that was my mom. She bought a mug, and I bought a mug, and I bought a t-shirt from each service. Redbubble is the other one. I didn't like their merchandise as much. I got a cup where it was an angled cup, and it stretches the photo, and there's no way to keep this photo from stretching with that angle. And there was some bleed on the black that was the background. There was some bleed on the paint or whatever was used. It didn't look that good. Then the t-shirts were thinner and kind of not as good, but same high cost and stuff. But those are out there if you want to check them out. So yeah, you have. I think that's for a different type of YouTuber though. Because it was very high anyway. It was 10 million that you have to hit in 90 days. But and they've, for this new update, they've done it doubled it to 20 million. And to be honest, it's still, they're still a business. They still have to make money, and if they're paying out as much as they're paying out, they might be looking, like all other businesses right now are looking for ways to cut costs. This is one of the ways to do it. I don't fault them for doing it. But if I were more entertaining or something, maybe I could have done it. So yeah, I forget the name of it, but I like the stuff. I like the ones though. Twin Cities Division, their merch people are the same one as Heath of Human City has used, and what I really liked about theirs is you could personalize it, or you can alter it a little bit, and so I put a message of my channel on, and I used the podcast logo and the Twin Cities Division logo with it. And I think that's a really nice cup because I could promote both, and I have a message with my channel name on it. And so I thought that was really neat. And some of the merchandise is different. I'll tell you, I haven't bought it for myself, but just like Dundas Junction James, there's a bucket hat that I have listed too, and it looks really nice with my logo kind of diagonal across it. And I haven't picked it up, so. Yeah, I mean, I get that, Bill. I get it. I'm just, business is business. We don't live in the greatest economy right now anyway. I know that Gopher Girl and I are going through that, and we're doing what we can to not just, I mean, we're not destitute or anything like that, but, we want to enjoy our later life, and we want to enjoy our dogs, and we want to make sure that they're fed and they're happy, and that we're happy and we're fed and we have a roof over the head, and all of that. So we're trying to make that happen too. No, it doesn't equate to supporting small subscribers. It doesn't, but they haven't. That hasn't been their model to support small creators for a very long time. It takes years to grow an audience to even meet their goals, and they did something actually. It wasn't too long ago when they went to giving you half of the benefits by getting half the subscriber total and dropping the hours to 3,000 and getting 500 subscribers to get the super chats and those sorts of things. So they weren't totally tone deaf to it, but it's never been their model. So and I didn't go into it thinking, oh, I'm going to make money. I was going to say, if I could grow the channel, and I could get to those things, then maybe I would have an opportunity at that. And I leave it at that. And it's actually taken a lot of pressure off too. And I didn't continue to just try and churn out videos and things. And, I don't have a layout to put on in the background during lives. I don't have, I've already filmed the N scale layout, and I have videos out there of the N scale layout. So N scalers, do check those out. I have put out operating video shorts and things like that of when I had the 2 modules set up for the switching stuff. But it wasn't a fully operable layout that you could have it and sit there and run. And there's a whole audience of YouTube fans or Model Railroad fans who are on YouTube looking for that kind of content. No, I don't think they'll. Abandon small channels. It does. You don't. You definitely don't want to alienate folks and have mass exoduses and go over to other streaming services and video services. And so they're in constant competition with those too. So they have to figure out a way to make the money and keep the small creators just enough. And we've been using YouTube TV as well, but there's much more content from TV broadcasters now on social media and video sites like YouTube, and less on broadcast TV. Broadcast TV will die at some point because we're going to continue to have easier and easier ways for people to access content and stuff like that. So advertising dollars are leaving TV and they're moving to other services, and that's why even major sporting major sports leagues and things are embracing it. They're seeing how other smaller sports leagues are doing on social media, and so they're embracing that. But it is what it is, and I just keep going, and I just keep working and paying bills, and Gopher Girls working and paying bills, and the little that we can set aside or save up, we then put towards the hobbies that we have, which are not cheap hobbies. And I always think, well, model railroading is not a cheap hobby, and no hobby is really cheap. But boy, Legos are just expensive. Yeah, Colt is the way to go. Yeah, and to be honest, the live streams themselves that I do were started to keep me honest and keep me going on the AP program on this stuff, because I wanted to have I do better when I have to answer to somebody, and I have to answer to all of you and have something to update you guys on, even though it's entertainment and everything. That's how that started. And I haven't done all these other things because I've been focusing on my project. So I haven't done the other things that other people have done that I kind of every once in a while want to do. I'd love to interview people, bring the focus of my interviews, probably not as fun as other people, but I would focus mostly on techniques that people can bring. I would love to do some of that, where instead of listening to the story of how I got started when I was a kid and around the Christmas tree and all those things and all the inspiration pieces, those are all good, but for me it's all about, can I learn techniques? Can I learn all the techniques out there? And I would love to sit there and have somebody talk about their techniques and how they do things. And even if I've heard them before, everybody does things slightly differently. So the model railroading is definitely a cult. Bill with the rant. So at least Bill, you're ranting and I don't have to. But House of Dragons, okay. I started that a while ago, and I didn't like it as much, and maybe I was expecting something different that was very much more like Game of Thrones. Yeah, and it's a little bit different in the writing, but it's fine. And I started it again when I was really injured and not moving much, and I was sitting there watching stuff all day long. So I kind of started that again. I checked that out, but I consume so much YouTube that I get over and watch things like HBO Max every once in a while, but not often. Gopher Girl and I have never sat down at a dinner table, so we at home. We really haven't. So we've always sat in front of TV and watched TV together. And so right now we're running through Friends on HBO Max. Something I guess I could say I grew up with, but we're going back through the whole series, and it's interesting. You remember stuff that's basically repeated through time, and then sorry. An itch in the eye. You basically remember stuff, and then there are pockets you don't remember, and it's still entertaining that way because there's plenty you don't remember. So I'm not caught up on House of Dragons, so I have to. That's one of those things I have to keep with and get through the stuff that I originally started watching for and didn't like as much. And oftentimes there are some great series that happens where you like the later writing or actors or whatever it may be. Oh, sorry guys. It's like I got something in my eye, but nothing's floating around here, except for the rants and the conversation, which is loving the conversation tonight. So I have to figure out what color because I don't have 3,000 colors. I have to figure out what color to do these little trunks that'll make me happy. And then, I can get like this something as, small like this, and fill it with glue and dip. No, we don't want to dip that one in, but we dip this guy in and then sprinkle some foliage on. Hang on, guys, for just 1 second. I'll be right back. To show you some prices on here. I don't know if you can see that in there. There's a $750 on there. I don't know if I got got it for $10.99 or so. I would assume I got it for $7.50 way back when. It's double that price now. But, I would just dip this in glue here and then sprinkle it on. But first I'll probably want to paint the trunks to it. But, we'll just use some fine turf on that. So you can see there. Oh, your babies. Hey, Brad, welcome in. Your babies, I get it. That's the dogs that you scream at all day long that are still your babies. So yeah, Jimmy, I don't love to sit and watch TV. So like I do that at dinner time. If I'm sick, I'll do that. If I'm waiting for glue or paint to dry, oftentimes I'll take a break and I'll get out of the room because it might smell in here a little bit just to let that dissipate, and I'll sit down in front of the TV or something like that. But most often, I'll put YouTube on instead of TV. With some of the fall sports starting up, volleyball is starting this weekend. I love watching Gopher women's volleyball. They're very good. All of the Minnesota women's teams are extremely good. It's the men's teams that suck. So they're starting this weekend with a preseason tournament, and that'll be recorded. And so I can just fast forward through the games, through the commercials, and watch the games that way. And so I get through, a volleyball match could go 2.5 hours. I'll get done in, 45 minutes sometimes to get through it. But, so I don't spend a lot of time watching TV, but it's the sports that I'll watch. So I'll watch almost any sport. Soccer is the one I grew up with, so I watch that all the time. Hockey's number 2, probably. Any winning women's sports program in Minnesota would be number 3. Then probably college football, and then pro football. I haven't had a winning team that I'm a fan of in many, many years, so it is what it is, and so I don't love it as much. I worked for the universe. I've been a fan. What was it? I forget what year it was now. Long, long time ago. I found out about the Gopher men's hockey program, the University of Minnesota Gopher men's hockey program. Many years ago when they were in a championship game against Harvard, and it was in St. Paul, Minnesota, where they had a rink where instead of the dasher boards, they had plexiglass as the dasher boards, and so it was glass going from the ice upward. And that was the neatest thing to me, and it caught my eye, and it was the national championship that they were in. And so I started trying to find out anything I could and watch anytime I could watch. And then we moved out to Minnesota, and I was working. I had just found work that I could find, and it happened to be with Target Corporation for, Target stores in their corporate offices. And then an opportunity came up to work in the ticket office at the University of Minnesota. And I took that opportunity. I got the job, and I was there for 2 years. And honestly, I didn't care that I got a paycheck. For season tickets that cost about $1,100 per ticket for the season, as an employee of the athletics department, cost me just the taxes on it. And so it was like $157 per ticket for the season. And so, I would work there, and Fridays, Gopher Girl would drive down. I would take the bus in, and then Gopher Girl would drive down and drive me home Friday night after the first game. Then we'd come back on Saturday for the second game. We used to go, we watched the women's hockey team go undefeated the full season and win the national championship on home ice at Ritter Arena at the University of Minnesota. Again, because they were so much better than the men. But I became a fan of University of Minnesota sports because I worked there. So you'd be surprised. There's a lot of volleyball in Minnesota, and it's not a complete feeder state because it's one of the top programs. It's always in the top 25 in the nation, but the Big Ten Conference, just like their football, they have a lot of teams that are very good. Penn State has been good for years and years and years. Nebraska has been very good for years and probably the top team in the Big Ten. And so the Gophers were always like top 5 in the Big Ten. And so it's very exciting. It's the only sport that is sold out and just absolute raucous when you do go to the matches there. It's a lot of fun. And if you like the sport of volleyball, if you don't like volleyball, then it's, yeah. But that's a guilty pleasure to be able to watch those kinds of sports and stuff. And they still don't cost as much as pro sports when we get to go to them. I'm getting older and I don't love driving downtown for it. I'm getting old and curmudgeon-y like that. I'd rather spend the money on somebody driving us to the events and stuff, and then I would go to more, I think. But as we've gotten older and we've gotten the health issues and things like that, we've gone to less and less. But we try to get to some of the events. We've been to a couple of their football games. That's been fun because they've been better and the atmosphere is good and people show up, that sort of thing. So, And so that's what I'm focusing on. So November is the show. I'll be going. We're finalizing dates for me to go hang out in New Jersey around Thanksgiving time. I'll still have to work. I don't actually get the time off. But it'll be, I have to get this stuff out to my mom. So I may have to ship it out. We'll see what timing it is and what kind of, how I can pack things up. What I like that I was able to do with the table. I got a couple examples here. So that was the original table. And these legs are, this is designed they were designed separately, but I attached them in the design. And so when I was bringing them last time, a couple of years ago, they all were in a box upside down like this. And I had like two boxes and I had just 4 of the tables. And it was kind of difficult to pack and make sure that these didn't break. And I think one of them had a leg or 2 that broke off. It's generally solid, but it's easy to knock and just the junction isn't great there. So I wanted something that I could ship easier if somebody actually wanted to buy them or if I needed to get them out to my mom. And so I redesigned them for more support around there. So I designed pockets around there, and so these are removable. So they have a little notch too, and they actually do fit. I put enough clearance in, and you're not going to be able to see that even if I attempt to. I can't do anything with this damn thing, and so you can't see it on there. But there's the notch that matches that is in there, and it just oh my goodness, I just had enough of this. It's going to go out to the Urium cam here because I think it shut itself down. For whatever reason, it does that. So let's get that back. If I can get it back. It shut itself down up there. Let's see. Oh, so we're back. Look at that. So anyway, see if I can't get enough light in there, but again, it has that notch in there, and so it should just click in, and it's sturdy now. And obviously, if you want, when you set it up, if you want, you can just put it in there. But if I'm shipping this to somebody, printing the tracks separately, we'll get that as well. So this allows me to print this without the worry. Let me see if I... Okay, so that's as far as I can go out. Let's see. The worry about doing this, and I was able to successfully do this, and I was shocked that I was able to do this successfully as its own piece. So now that can just be glued on. You can tell this sometimes with the very small variations in printing. This one has been very loose on this, but this can just be glued on here, and then everything else can go down and stuff. So I can attempt to do what I did and what I'll do where houses are going to go. I'm going to keep those as clean as possible for when you put the grass on and everything, and landscaping. I'll try to keep those as absolutely clean as possible. And I'll do the same with the track area. So I'm probably going to need to put down some kind of paper template or something. But having this separately, then having these come out, all of a sudden, if this has to get shipped, it's now flat like this. So it's a bit of improvement. I think people like that if they're really interested in actually buying it. And the reason I'm doing another one of these as a display is because somebody actually wanted to buy it, and my mom was originally going to offer to have it made and have me make them, and she would keep the display, but the person insisted, and they were going to pay a lot of money with their insistence, and so bye it went. So I thought that was a bit of an improvement. I created this, and I actually did put wires in here. There is a hole here where the controller goes, and I just glued some wires, some really, really small wires, and then used that and made bus wires to connect to the ends as well. Not that anybody will look, but if they wanted to, or if they turned it over, they would see some detail. It might spark them to, remember what it was like to put together their model railroad. And so that's the idea behind that. And in case anybody hasn't seen it, this one's a little bit more fantasy. Excuse me. But this one is a 3x5, and It's actually this one where I came up with the track idea and how to build this track. And then I came back and built this track for this. But I wanted to do a figure 8 on a baseboard, simple like that. And, you could put one of the signs in the middle or on the edge, or a tree on there as well. And maybe another building. I was thinking this would be another one for a water tower in here, and a tree, something like that, a sign. And this is the one that's designed to go under a bed in a dollhouse. So again, it doesn't look exactly like with the crossover here of it wouldn't take an actual train running. If I was able to do something mechanically, this wouldn't work well. But this is just this is to attract people to the booth and have them look at the really expensive stuff, the $1,500 tables that are, the handmade wood tables and things like that. But this is how I was trying to brainstorm how to do this with track small like this and get a curve on there that I couldn't find with the track that was already made. And so I was tinkering and I was able to come up with this and then translate it and build it out for this. And I couldn't tell you if this was true to scale in any way. Obviously, it probably wouldn't be with the how far apart the ties are. But as long as it gives the impression of it, and this again will fit just fine on there. These will have wheels on them. And I can make them spin if all I do with these is I get toothpicks and these toothpicks fit in here perfectly. And the wheels that were designed for these have a little indentation to take a toothpick, so I would just make this flat, chop a piece off, make it flat, and glue one wheel on one side and then the other wheel on the other side, and did this with the other ones. And then the wheels will fit right over top of outside of the tracks, but it'll still work. So we'll see if I do that. Otherwise, I can just glue the wheels directly. Instead of putting this through, I can glue them directly on here and they don't have to move. I mean, it wouldn't move on here anyway. And I tried that with the old version that I did. But they're movable if somebody wants to fidget with them or something. I'm a fidgeter, so that appeals to me. So we'll keep working through that, and I'll try not to get distracted and do a whole bunch of other things like I often do. How could the Eagles have lost to the Vikings? Oh, it was in Minnesota. I guess that could have happened. Yep, flat pack, like IKEA. Yep, exactly. When I brought them the last time, I think we drove when I bought them the last time, so at least it was easy that way to take them. But I'll be flying out to New Jersey, so if I take them they're going to go in a suitcase. I'm going to have to pack them tightly, put them in a suitcase, and have that suitcase go, be packed away, and that's going to be bumped around when they throw it around on the conveyors and throw it into the airplane and stuff like that. So I'm going to have to pack them pretty good. So having them you know, even if it's not on the bottom and it's on top here, having them packed tightly like that will help protect them. And obviously I won't be able to do that with the one I actually designed, put the earth and all that design on. That's going to have a little bit more space to it. Klondike, welcome in. Good evening. Nice to have you in here. We've been going on all kinds of tangents, talking about all kinds of things, not just my updates this time, which is fun to talk through. So I would rather ship them. Because if the shows before I go out there, then yeah, I'll have to ship them. So this will be, I'll just have to put a little bit more room around the one I designed. I don't think that'll be a huge deal, but we'll have to work on that. So these are designed to be for again for doll houses, and so what I originally did, the reason we originally did this, and I wasn't the first one to do the 3D printing for her booth. A family member of ours. This is not. It's not really scale, to be honest. The only thing that is scale is the table at 4 by 8, 4 inches by 8 inches, since it's 1 inch to a foot for dollhouse miniatures. So that's the most scale thing. So everything has been visually worked on to get it down to look scale, but I can't tell you. I originally was trying. What I tried to do was take real world stuff, drop it to 1/12 scale, and then 1/87th, so HO scale for the 1/12 scale, which would make it really, really small. But I was able to make a visually interesting Lionel, and it was based on people's, I think more people were, a long time ago, it was Lionel and it was American Flyer and those sorts of things. So I designed a 3D and 3D printed a Lionel controller that would go over here. And then these were, I don't recall if these have a scale to them. But they were the right size for what I needed. So they're still oversized for this, but they still look good enough. I don't think this looks great. What I was trying to do is, I think this looks close enough. And I think that if we display it away from this just is going to look... This will look good, and people will like the layout, and they won't mind as much the train is out of scale. But it's gonna obviously. So essentially, I wouldn't compare this to scale of any kind, but I would. It's most closely to resemble. I was trying to resemble 1/87th scale in dollhouse miniature. So, and so I've rode down the middle here to the church being kind of the central point. I know this is all over the place, but and it's not locked down. And so the track will work again for this with this train again. And maybe we don't put, this one has a tender and then 2 cars and a caboose. So maybe we don't put all of those on, so it's not going, but it just depends on where you display it on here. You can see it's a little more curved, but it still works that way. PLA is not as hydroscopic, even though like PET G is stronger than PLA, but it's hydroscopic, and that one will definitely take on moisture. PLA will do some of that, but it's it's not one that you have to. It's not one that you have to put in a dryer and stuff like that. It survives pretty well. Hey Ken, I didn't see you sneak in. So, yeah, FDM printing's different from the resin printing. Resin printing you have to cure, it has to harden. You don't have to do that with this. This stuff hardens as it dries. Yep. Yeah, and there are plenty of rivet counters, Bob, in Dollhouse Miniatures, and these people are paying lots of money for this kind of stuff. So you have to kind of be a little more finicky than you do with model railroading. However, they go half scale, which is 1:24, as well. So those are mixable in Dollhouse Miniatures, but you can see the difference. But they're mixable. So yeah, and I will. I'll find some pictures and I'll make sure to post them online to show people what what that one looked like. But yeah, this one it'll come out. It'll look nice. People are going to like the layout, and they're not going to worry as much about the scale of the train. I think I just worry about it more. And just want it to look, I just want to look believable enough. And this definitely did. And it did its job. It walked away from the table with, well, not walked away, but it was sold. And somebody, and my mom did report that she got a lot of foot traffic to her booth based on people seeing that and thinking that it was interesting or it sparked some memory or whatever it is. So it did the job. And that's what I'm more worried about. It's lovely if it actually sells and stuff like that, but I'd rather it just draw so my mom can sell her stuff. So. So yeah, I'll see if I can find some pictures of the one I did previously and get that out online. Either do a post on YouTube or put it on some groups on Facebook. And I just want to expand what I try to do here. So I wanted to see if I could design more stuff myself. And I also want to do some of the features on here myself. And I'm really interested in doing the water. And I'm using a really basic water for this. I'm not going to go resin crazy with it. I got this and I've already worked with it a little bit. But this is essentially a pour. This one is designed for dioramas mainly. But you just pour it out and spread it where you need to spread. So it's not going to be as self-leveling as a resin or anything like that. But it dries clear. So if I want to make it a little murky or something, or if I at least paint the area where it's going to be, you'll be able to see the bottom and everything. I did some water effects with this on when I was doing the sculpt to mold modeling. So I was trying to do a flowing stream and waterfall with it, and so that's how I tested this one out. This wasn't I can't remember the exact price, but it wasn't as expensive as like Woodland Scenics stuff was. I have no idea if it's any good anymore, but I've used Liquitex. Is it Liquitex, the light stuff, which is the 2-part resin, and I poured that out. I used that on my N scale layout, so there are some videos of that out there. So yeah, a toy within a toy. And that's my original idea a few years back, before I was building stuff and had any confidence that I could do anything, was to have I don't know if it would have been, like probably a G-scale boxcar with the doors open and have a layout on there, not necessarily on a board, but in there with a kid sitting there playing with trains. That was the original idea I had years ago. And then my mom was trying more 3D printed objects to draw. She found a TV that you could download shows onto a card, and it would play shows, and that drew people. I don't know what you call him, but my cousin's husband, that's what I'll call him. He had a 3D printer before I did, and he did some furniture, some mid-century modern furniture for her. And then I eventually got mine and started doing this. So there's a changeover in the people that are visiting these dollhouse miniature shows, and they are attracted to this stuff. And so I'll keep working and giving her opportunities with these. So yeah, monetization is everything. Well, to me, it always has been. I just haven't been well monetized. I've always been seeking more money, and I had the grand vision that I was going to be in business and economics when I was younger. We had a very advanced business program in our high school. So when I was looking at business programs, I found the school I wanted to go to. The business program was good, but I found that I was really bored because it was all stuff I knew, and I wasn't paying attention and stuff like that. We had some general education requirements and things like that. So I took some psychology courses, and those were way more thought-provoking and way more engaging, and so I moved over to that. And what I think I should have done was probably transfer out to another business school that was more challenging and had those interests involved. I was thinking that I was going to be in some kind of economics position, and my goal was six-figure salary and that sort of thing. And life happens and decisions happen, and I liked the psychology, so I stayed at that school. I had the friends that I had. I met freshman year. I met the core friends that I had, and then sophomore year as well. And then the rest of the time, just those were the core friends, and those are the friends out of school and years later and everything. And so I don't regret doing that. I regret the fact that I'm not making the money I thought I would. But So I'm always looking for ways to make money. I'm just not as I'm only motivated to a certain point at this stage in life as to whether um, I will um, yeah, as to how I'll monetize, and that's why I didn't. I could have gone full bore and figured out ways to make shorts work, and maybe not focused on model railroading, maybe focus on something broader, and maybe I'll be making more money with YouTube. But that's not my focus anymore. Yeah, 1/12 scale would be very big for what is G scale is what 148. Um, I've seen some of the 135 scale models. A lot of military is 135th scale model. They're big. Um, they're fun looking and stuff, but yeah, it's very big. Um, so yeah. But I thought, well, that would be that was just that was the motivation. I never would have done it back then either because I just didn't have the skill yet to do it. Now I don't have a problem. I think I could do it. Um, but I don't have any room for a car that big anyway. So not even on my work table. Um, well, all right. So I think we've been going for about an hour and a half here, and it's been a really fun conversation. I've really enjoyed that we've talked more than just model railroading. I like that. I'm trying to, be kind of a community person and that sort of thing, and appreciate the feedback. I hope nobody's trying to square up their needles by heating them up so hot that they become soft and glowing orange and then pull them through the airbrush. But I appreciate all the people who've given suggestions on how to handle that versus buying needles because they're not cheap anymore. I've been working with spraygunner.com, and I've been using their no-name stuff, which is generally refurbished stuff. And it's worked brilliantly well, and their needles were like $5. The cheapest needle's $15 with it, and if I have to get a different size needle, you have to get the other parts as well, and that jacks up the price for these. So yeah, Bob, I've been trying to come around to that. I appreciate that, and I've been trying to come around to that. But the little boy in me, as they say, was all about the money and all about wanting to gain the money. G scale is 129 or 125 or 132, a bunch of different ratios. O scale is 148. That's right. O scale is 148. And so O scale would be quarter scale, right, to dollhouse. Is it? I think that's what it would be. Um, so, yeah, maybe I'll try the rub it between two coins and see if that works. And I've actually spray painted with bent needles before, but they were smaller bends than that one. That one was a pretty deep bend. And the ones that I had slight bends in, it really does sputter the paint, and it's really amazing that it does that. So it becomes a bit of a struggle to paint with, but we'll figure something out. I always seem to. But anyway, I appreciate everybody hanging out and indulging me in talking through all these wonderful projects that I do for my mom, and how now I seem to be into dollhouse stuff for some reason. But I'll continue on the AP journey and continue to bring these conversations on Friday nights. So everybody have a fantastic weekend. And with football starting, everybody's going to be busy. I know people are going back into their basements now and into their workrooms with kids going back to school and the fall coming. And so everybody have a fantastic time and enjoy the model railroading season as it really kicks off. And, just jump in and have a great night, everybody.